I'm trying to switch something on, it's not working. I'm like backing up stuff, gigabytes. This recording business takes gigabytes, all right? So it's going to be a click, all right? So it has to hear it. Start now, so here we go. Okay, probably should do a visual, but such is life. Right, so where are we now? Right, I searched on the line, the generative adversarial network, and that's a very interesting process. As far as I remember it, it's something to do with okay, and so something about this number of networks, and then they go down there, and then they go there, and then they sort them. Okay, so that's one way. So it's sorting into different types. So this is all your data, kind of, and then it goes into and it sorts it out to various types. But then the adversarial thing goes in the opposite direction, or regressive, or something or other, and that goes the other way. Okay, so it goes this way, it goes that way, somehow. Something like that. Well, that's one part of it, actually. I think the adversarial network thing is it. Oh, I can't even be bothered. I don't want to look at it. Okay. There's another aspect. Degenerative. I understood it as being the way it was explained when I saw it. It's creating fake images. So what happens is you give the computer some data, some images of, for example, human beings, and then it tries to sort them out. Say, oh, this person is like male and bald, and it would be able to categorize this individual who's talking, me, right, brilliant, or categorize the kind of mathematics that's going on here. Fine. But what it does is that then it actually generates some new ones that are fake. Okay, it tries to fool the computer. So it puts up a person with fair hair and says, "Is this how do you categorize this person?" And it goes, wait a minute, and it tries to fool. So it's adversarial. It tries to fool the computer algorithm, and then the algorithm basically has a little fight, tussle, and it works out what is being created and what is real. Wow. Okay. And that's quite good. So it's basically, instead of just trying to get a simple answer of simplification of the data, it's actually thrown in some rubbish, and it basically and it improves. It's almost like putting in graphite into something. It filters. It helps the algorithm improve its ability to sort the data. It's amazing. Okay, now this is all kind of like mathematical experiments that are going on with coding. We're not interested in that. Okay, we're interested in you. Okay, what's going on here? And what your mind does when it's looking at this stuff. So it's very, very important that a thought pops in your head, you make a note of it, okay? And it's a little bit left field, okay? So we're going to be wandering off left field into the fields, and we're going to go, is it this? Is it this? And coming up with stuff, okay? We're definitely going, you're in XQ, which is basically your mind and how it makes sense of absolutely anything. Or in fact, the more maths you know, it's more like a jungle. For you, it might be, oh, you know this maths, you run around all over the terrain, it's fantastic. But we're saying, okay, yeah, but what does it mean in terms of your mind? And how does it work in relation to how it is that I'm talking and you're listening? How does any of this work? Okay, and that's the bit that we go, oh yeah, okay. And it's not about applying this maths to that, it's about going, oh, there's a correlation. There's a correlation of some of this mathematics to how I'm operating concurrently. Okay, so it's relating to your temporal experiential condition. That's the bit that's important. So we're trying to be looking at a bit of mathematics that reflects our temporal condition. Yep, we're good with that? So our temporal condition right now is that I'm going to do this thing, like an explanation, kind of is, but it's just to get us in the ballpark. Reflexive presence means which way are we doing time this way? Okay, let's do it this way. No, let's do this way. I like this way. Right. This is me, beginning of the second part, okay, and you, and at the end of the part. Okay, so this is like the start. This is the end. This is of the whole thing. Remember, I haven't got there yet. Okay, so this is the start, and that was part one. We're now in part two, and this will be like part one, part two, part three. And I don't even know when this is going to end, as you can tell. Okay, that's the condition. That's the conditionality of this way of exploring things. It's that we are doing it live. Okay, so you're doing it live too. So I'm here in my own chronological period of time. Now you are in your own chronological period of time. However, it's aligned. Okay, well, you don't know if you're going to do the third part, but you definitely have been past the first part, and here you are with me, or I'm with you. Okay, and that's the bit that's important. All right, actually, it's you that's important. I'm just kind of coming up with things, and I'm in the past. Relative to you, I'm in the past. Okay. However, I'm the one creating the structure. So I'm going blah, 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 and you're going, oh, okay, and I'm drawing some things up, and you're following that, and it's, it's evoking whatever maths you know or don't know. Okay, I associate with a few people, but I probably should have not excluded. I didn't exclude other people, but people interested in the social definitely need to be following this because they're like, I know about the social. I'm really good with people. I understand all that really well. It's like, great. Well, we're trying to kind of look at this mathematics, maybe somehow or other related to what you already know. Okay. So we're interested in social people. All right. So here you are. You've watched the first part. Now that first part was because somebody recommended this. All right. We have a tendency to think, oh, I'm just going to begin. Boop, and you start the thing, and there's nothing before that. And of course there was. There was a person who invited you to watch this. And we kind of ignored that, but we don't want to ignore that because it's actually essential. Okay. We're using Sqale, and Sqale, it's all about organic sharing. And that's something we kind of miss with all our tech and our blah, blah, blahs and academia and what we think's going on and money and blah, blah, blah. And we're creating things and we think we are things. We even think we're talking words, and it's like, look, forget about all that, all right? Have a look at some other videos that explain all that. But basically, the beginning of this is not the beginning, because obviously the person who shared this with you has seen this, okay? So that person has actually got to the end of this. Okay, they've got to the end, even though I don't even know what I'm about to say, and they've already seen it. So they're kind of ahead in some way. But actually, welcome. Okay, but actually, this person in the past, relative to you, okay, there was a comment by somebody, right? They've watched this at their chronological time, which is after I've finished this, they're watching this. They've watched this. But after they've watched this, by the second part, they've decided to share it with you. So they're already thinking it. So, but at some point, they were actually with us. Okay, so they watched the first part, and they were like, okay, yeah, I'll watch the second part, and here they are. Are we halfway? Good grief, we're nearly halfway through this, maybe. Depends how long this goes on for, because I haven't been able to explore the maths. This is an explanation of stuff I've already come up with. If you've already heard this, I apologise, but a little bit of redundancy is okay. It's kind of good practice because it's a bit mind-blowing. So the person who shared this with you was at this moment going, okay, and thinking about this and deciding, who should I be sharing this with at the end of this? All right, if they want to watch the third part, at the end of it, they're going to share. And they've done that already. In a way, they're ahead of you. In a way, relative to this video, they actually know what's ahead of us. That's amazing. However, at some point in time, they're actually with us right now because they got something from somebody else. Could have been me, could have been another person. And they were watching this just like you are now, and they were going, who do you see? So this moment of me expressing this at this moment now is the same moment as the person who shared this with you, is the same moment that you're watching it right now, and it's the same moment, you can see where this is going, of the person you share this with. Okay, and the person you share it with will, once they accept it and they look at the first part and they decide to watch the second part, okay, just like you did. So that cut-off point. So they will be watching this, Can you see that? Is it actually on the... Yep. That's your decision. Okay, so the first thing, although you think you're starting, it's actually, it was the friend that decided that. And when your friend that you share this with, they press start, it's because you invited them. So you kind of made that decision. So this decision here is the same one. If we accept some kind of social, it's the second social fact. Okay, that is sharing. Literally, this got into your hands. Do you want to deny that? You might have got it by a machine. You might have searched for it. You might have found it accidentally. You might have and there was some kind of machinery involved, or it was literally a person shared with this with you organically. And yes, there's machinery involved, but it's almost a pure person-to-person engagement, which means that this relationship of the person who shared it with you and you right now is a stronger social relationship. Okay, this is the kind of thing that I want the maths to indicate. Okay, and I need to have a strong bit of maths to indicate that this is happening. It is imaginative. You've got to extend your imagination. It's a imaginative hermeneutic practice. Schotter. Check that out if you need to. Okay, Schotter. And so what we're saying is that you, and it's always and only ever you, however, at least you that are watching this right now, live now, you're extending that sensibility not only to the person that shared this with you, but all people who have shared it and watched this and are currently watching right now. Me, and I'm obviously talking right now and making up as I go along, yeah, and the people in the future. And we're all watching at the same moment now. It requires a bit of imagination, all right? However, because of the tech, because of this thing, we're not collapsing back into thinking, I came up with all this in the past, it's all finished, the video's finished, I'm just going to press play and then I'm going to listen to something, try and learn what it is, and then I'll think about something, and then I'll come up with a response. No. Okay, what we're doing is we're unpacking or revealing the truth, okay, that everybody who ever watches this, press play, here we are, oh, hello, and we're all watching it now as we go forwards through time. This is an example, I think, of 5 people watching this. Or maybe 5 of us, and that includes me, talking. I'm talking. I'm here. I'm on number 1. Okay. Okay. There are 5 people. Okay, so what happens if there's 1,000 of us? Okay, so let's say the n is 1,000. So let's say z to the n, z to the n is 1,000. That's 1,000 of us is equal to 1. That is, we're all watching now. Now that's a function that you're performing mentally. Okay, and it may be a useful thing to indicate this. Or, for example, z is equal to 1,000th root of 1. Now, we might have variations in what we're thinking. The engineers going off, the computer scientists going off, the pure mathematicians going, okay, okay. But everybody's, the engineers will have a tendency to project, whatever it is that they know about physics and real things to us. The GAN people, maybe similar kind of thing. They're in a funny language, maths kind of playground marsh thing. The pure mathematicians that are just the symbolic manipulation, blah, blah, blah. And for the pure mathematicians, and the reason why we need to have the social scientists involved here, is the social interest people, is that they kind of want to, no, look, I just like this pure thing. I just like the pure thing. I just like, the fact that these have relationships, and isn't it amazing how this spatial representation works, and, how Gauss, whatever his name was, came up with this, and it's beautiful, okay, yeah, it is beautiful, okay. However, what we're doing is we're trying to go, but how is this related to how it is that you're thinking of any of this? The fact that you can navigate this incredibly elaborate, symbolic, pure, Popper's third world kind of space, okay? And you're doing it temporarily. Okay, you somehow or other manipulate this stuff in your mind and you do maths. It's the doing of the maths that's important. And what I was saying is that that doing is quite sophisticated. If we've got sophisticated human beings amongst us, then we have to be like, wow, great, okay, I'm not a sophisticated person. I'm just like, I'm like a hobbit, okay, with a funny little torch, just going. Well, they didn't have electric torches back then, it used to be. Right, but it's directed, and I'm looking at this directed bit of. I'm directing this bit of light, our attention, our collective attention, our well, if there are 1,000 of us, 1,000th root of unity, and we're looking at something. Now, okay, there's something. Okay, so right, let's just stick to that. This is already a step ahead of what if you want to think about the, I'm going to reveal that I came up with a thing called 1 to the n. Okay, that was my first attempt to formalize our social engagement. So when I was with a bunch of kids in a room, if it's very fractured, it said, 1 to the 7, and then there's another group that's 1 to the 8, and then there's a whole bunch of people 1 to the 1, 1 to the 2s, a pair over there, and so on and so forth. However, when everybody's paying attention and everybody's moving along the same kind of line of thought, roughly, okay, you get this kind of cohesion of attention, a density. And so, for example, actors have this, where they're holding the audience in the palm of their hand, right? To be or not. And they can actually, they say that they can kind of feel the attention. And you can hear a pin drop. Okay, and everybody's like, wow. Okay. Now you don't get that from computers and stuff. So that has to be just induced by the individual. And they just have to focus, and that's why you have these focus up. I mean, like Daniel Day-Lewis. Okay, I mean, he's just doing this thing. He's just doing it, and there are cameras, the people. He doesn't care about any of that. He's just being this person, and everybody's just like, wow. And you can see that, and it works. Okay, and that doesn't require our presence. Whereas a live actor, and I'm not an actor, but I was a live teacher. I kind of required the presence of people to pay attention. And when they paid attention well, we could do the maths. When they paid attention, basically, if it was 1 to the 30, okay, if everybody in the class was aligned, and we were like really all paying attention, I could take them on the maths because it required that level of attention. If there's even just 1 or 2 people that are arsing about, mucking about, or just not paying attention, okay, it meant that was reduced. And when it's reduced, it means it doesn't have as much intensity, which means that when somebody contributes something and there's just not enough, it just doesn't have enough intensity. Okay? So I love presence, but here we are with this medium. And so we have to make use of this medium, and that's what this is doing. Okay? Because this is happening in the real world. This, when everybody's paying attention at the same time, the focus is usually on the person talking. The actor, okay, the presenter, and they're leading people, okay? But we're doing something slightly more sophisticated, where we're interested in whatever happens in everybody else's heads. That's the bit that's important, okay? Not me, because remember, I'm in the past. Okay, so, in order to escape the current standard models of how we think and communicate, use medium, all that kind of stuff, look at some other videos, but basically, we're attempting to go right. We're bending this technology to our benefit, okay, and our benefit, okay, 1,000 of us benefit, okay, or 1,000,000 of us, or 8 billion of us. 8 billion people are never going to watch this, okay, currently, never, unless we happen to have galactic things with trillions of people. Then maybe at some point we'll have 8 billion people. For whatever reason, academics probably going, okay, what happened in ancient history with this guy yapping about this stuff? Okay, that's just science fiction. Okay. However, the fact that it's 10 of us, all right, 30 of us. Okay, there's 30 that ever watched this video. Okay, 30 people, right? And then the third part, is where we actually allow ourselves to think this. So right now, if you look on Sqale, maybe there's only 5 people. Okay, this is us now. But if at the end of this you share this, you think, this is interesting enough, I want to know what happens when we have 1,000 people. I want to know what we can think, if we're allowed to think, when there's 1,000,000 of us. There's 1,000,000 of us thinking this stuff. And out of that 1,000,000 people, some of them engineers, some of them computer scientists, some pure mathematicians, some just psychosocial therapists, and so on and so forth, engagement people, some teachers, just social people, some actors, okay, some actors, all right? And out of that 1,000 people, somebody's going to come up with something that is useful and interesting, beyond whatever I'm yapping on about. And they'll take it in a different direction. The engineers go off like that, computer scientists go, oh, wait a minute, look, look, I'll do another algorithm. It's better than GPT-3. GPT-3 is the current one that everybody's raving on about, all right? Now, this is a danger. I don't actually want to increase the speed of acceleration. I don't want to accelerate the development of AI. I don't. I think that's a bad idea. I think we need to work out how to communicate together socially, come up and develop this maths, socially, so that we do have 8 billion of us together on this planet, and we've created global unity, and therefore whatever generalized AI that we develop will be kind of comfortable and relaxed, because it's not within a politically charged environment, all right? I.e., Einstein, what happened to his physics? Yeah, it turned into the nuclear bomb and then the Cold War. So the AI, look, I've talked about that in other places. The point is, we're not really interested in AI, okay? We're not really interested in that. Yes, people might be interested in this form of maths and thinking about this to help them do AI, but quite frankly, that's not really what we should be doing. Okay, so be careful about sharing this with computer scientists. Okay, I would love for them to be involved in this, but not to further and accelerate AI. Okay, we have to kind of almost slow down, and that's impossible. They're just going at it at the rate of knots. Anyway, most people won't pay attention to this, and so if there's only 5 of us, it's like, do you see? It's kind of good in a way. However, it would be good to see what happens if there's 1,000 of us, and what happens if there's 1,000,000 of us, and the different directions we might start taking this way of thinking and communicating and manifesting our social power. Because that's what the third part will be. Because if we, right now, you look at it and that's the number of people, but by sharing it, we're increasing the number. Okay, you are increasing the number by sharing it with a few other people. And you're doing it before we watch the third part. And it's important we do that, because this is kind of reasonable, but in the third part, it's like, what? And I'm exploring things that I don't have a clue on, and I am allowed to get it wrong. I am allowed to get it wrong. And everybody that's watching is also allowed to get it wrong, because when they recommended it, it wasn't based on this kind of craziness that's going to occur in the third part, that it might be wrong. And therefore, we escape this idea that you have to be an expert. We do not have to be an expert. What we're interested in is global unity, social cohesion. We do not have to be an expert to have that. So yes, there are experts. You need to be an expert to create a machine that we use and is dependable. Yes, we need to have experts to create GAN. Well, actually, artistic people as well, actually, right? However, for us to engage as human beings, I say, no, we just need to be human beings. We're interested in some maths that might reflect it and improve our ability to understand psychosocial dynamics and develop mathematics that somehow or other captures our social cohesion in a more accurate way. Accurate, it's a bit tricky. It's a tricky one. Accuracy, psychosocial accuracy. This is as accurate as it gets, and it's imaginative. It's relational, but it's imaginative. It depends on your imaginative capacity. But that's the accuracy. Okay, it's like right now, all right? And it's about using mathematics and, so with this one here, we have money. Okay, so with this one here, the reflexive condition, there is a vector. I don't know what it is. Let's say £10, maybe even £100. Let's put £100 on. Okay, there's £100 on this. Somebody gave this to you with £100, saying, "Have a look at this. Here's £100." Wow. Okay, that changes things. Okay, I should have addressed you differently. It can't be £100. Let's put let's put 50 quid. All right, that's just unrealistic. Okay, 10 to £100. Somebody's giving you this for 10 to £100. Okay, and So everybody that's involved in this, the 5 of us, have gone, ooh, okay, and you know, 10 to £100, and if it's 1,000, ooh, that's quite a lot of money. That's quite a lot of money. And if there's 1,000,000 of us, that's a lot of money. And that means that we can pay people to go off and explore these things. If anybody comes back and saying, oh, look, I've thought of something, and I think it's like this. What do you think? And we basically, instead of, and we basically, I don't know about paying people to do AI, but definitely the social thing. Okay, if we can generate revenue for the social thing, that'd be great. Right, that was the second part. I took way too long, and I haven't even mentioned this thing. Well, I'm just going to mention it right now. Do we have the time? Oh, no, probably not. I'm wanting to associate, what colour is that? Grey, right. This is a, right, let's do a similar kind of pentagon. Okay, this is a social graph, for example, or a graph, topology. Okay, normally people, but we're going to manipulate this because it's not about people, it's not about physical bodies. Okay, it's about our mind. All right. This is a graph, and the dual graph is when you consider. Okay, I don't even know how to verbalize it. Okay, and basically the dual graph of that green one is a dipole. I only found this out a few weeks ago. Okay, and there are 5 lines. Between this one and this one, there are 5 lines. So that dipole is the dual graph of the pentagon. Okay. There's something interesting going on here. I probably should have done a different color. Okay, and it's something to do with time. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next one is all of us are simultaneously going through time at this moment, and this is like a snapshot, and yet we were somewhere and we are going somewhere, and we've got multiple perspectives, we're all separate human beings. However, where are we going? Okay, and there's a temporal condition, a beginning and an end. I think that's what we're exploring here. So if that's interesting to you, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next part. Yeah. If you're interested in watching the next part, the third part, where we are, I haven't actually explored this. I've only looked at this, I've gone, and I've seen some form of association here, but I can't do the maths of this. But somebody might be able to. Okay, I'm going to be doing the application to social potentially. Somebody else might be able to do the maths. What advantage? I'm not sure. Okay, but hopefully to improve our social cohesion. As I say, if we have 1,000, 1,000,000 of us that are actually doing this kind of mathematical, psychosocial mathematization, I think that would be useful. Right, so if you want to watch the next part, explorative, then please, once you finish this, go to Sqale and share it. It's important that you share it. Okay, so you're sharing it at this point here, just at the end of this. Okay, so that other people can join us. And the join is based on the fact that you think, yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I've thought of a couple of people who might be interested in this. And they will make their decision too. They'll watch the first part, and if they think it's valuable, they will watch the second part, and they will join us here, and they'll be going, okay, who do I want to share this with? And they will make that decision. The second part is their decision, is your decision. All right? The third part is the consequence of our collective decision making. And that's the people in the past, the people in the present, and the people in the future. Basically, we're all in the present. Okay, right? We shall maybe meet on part 3. And if we do, all right, make sure you've shared, okay, preferably with 3 people. Okay, 3 to the power of 20, interesting number. Okay, so, pi to the 20. There we go. I'm interested in pi to the 20. Pi to the 20, let's stick it up there. Pi to the 20, kind of interested in that because it's now 2020, and there are other videos that will rabbiting on about it, right? So, I look forward to exploring this properly in the next, not properly, exploratively in the next part, and hope I see you there. Okay, cool, right, cheers.